Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chase Geiser Network. I'm your host this evening, Chase Geiser, joined by my esteemed co-host, Steven Bak. Now, normally we do the show on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. for the public, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., those first hours and last hours, included for members only at chasegeiser.com or YouTube channel members. So the last hour of this show today will be for members only, either on YouTube or on chasegeiser.com. On chasegeiser.com, you can sign up for free, but today is Thursday. We're not usually live on Thursday, but the reason that we are live today, despite the fact that it's not on our normal schedule, is because this weekend I'm flying to Dallas to participate in one of Brandon Strzok's walkaway debates. So you'll probably recall Gavin McInnes and Owen Schroyer debated MAGA versus America First. Months ago, went very viral. I think Josie, redheaded libertarian, was involved in one of those debates that went very viral. I am doing the next one, and I am going to be debating on the side of America First alongside my teammates Harrison Smith from InfoWars, Robert Barnes, whom you're familiar with if you watch InfoWars. He's been on countless times, and Viva Frei. And it's ironic because I debated Viva Frei about the Charlie Kirk assassination last week. But this weekend, he's going to be on my team, America First versus MAGA. And to be honest with you, I do have a list of who I'm debating. I did not know who any of these people were. One of them is David Pollack. I think he's an OAN host. And there's a couple other ones. I followed them since I saw who they were. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I don't know when the debate's coming out. It's not live. It's being filmed. I got a whole itinerary, a whole schedule. I'm flying in tomorrow. Debate is happening all weekend. Saturday, there's a series of debates that are happening kind of all at once in Dallas. And I am very much looking forward to not just participating in this debate and making some great content and having some inflamed conversations, but I'm very much looking forward to working with Brandon Strzok. He's become a friend of mine, and I really appreciate all the work that he's done, and I'm very much looking forward to it. But we promised our listeners that we would do a show 3 times a week. And we promised that if we continue to get support, we would start doing a show 5 nights a week. Now, we're still at the 3 nights a week schedule. But since we made that commitment to you, despite the fact that I'm going out of town tomorrow, we're making up for it tonight. So we did a Tuesday night show. We did a Wednesday night show last night, of course. And we're doing tonight's show in lieu of tomorrow's show because I simply will not be available to broadcast. And boy, oh boy, do we ever have news for you. Something that I've noticed as I've been involved in the information war and paying attention to politics and the happenings of the world, the war between good and evil, is that every day so much happens and nothing happens at the same time. It always seems like same old song and dance, same old Ecclesiastes. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay, Trump landed. Everybody gave him an applause. Oh, Trump showed up and surprised these Boy Scouts. Oh, Trump showed up and now he's getting an award. And it's just the same kind of just pomp and circumstance, BS, performative politics. Trump comes out and says that Iran's begging for peace. Iran says they haven't even talked to the United States in days. We all know what's really true, given that we've claimed that there was peace like 50 times, literally like 50 times. But at the same time, when everything seems the same, you can always read between the lines. It's like in The Matrix when Neo's walking in the first one. And he sees the cat, and then he sees the same cat walk by a second time. It's deja vu. It's a glitch in the Matrix, right? And when I look at the news, when I look at the feed, when I look at what's happening in the world, in the United States, whatever, in this human condition that we're all experiencing, it seems like the same old song and dance every day. But then there's subtle differences, as if we've jumped from one universe to a parallel universe that's just ever so slightly different, ever so slightly altered. And in those discrepancies, if you zoom in to the fractal pattern, the infinitely smaller, the infinitely larger recursive pattern, you'll find there's all sorts of details that you'd missed before, that maybe weren't even possible to see before, weren't even possible to realize before. And that's exactly what Bak did today. Bak did a deep dive on Klaus Schwab, false flags, and because there was no massive breaking story today, other than, we're going to go over what did break today. But because there was no massive breaking story today, it forced us to focus and look closer and find some very interesting things to talk about. And primarily what we want to talk about today, as I understand it, Bak didn't tell me too much, but he wants to talk about the next false flag in the United States of America. Obviously, we know that false flags are going to happen. This is something that we talk about all the time. It's something that's happened in a countless number of times in our own U.S. history. You go all the way back to USS Liberty. You go back to Gulf of Tonkin. You go back to Pearl Harbor. You go back to 9/11. You go back to weapons of mass destruction. You name it, there's a false flag for basically everything that our national security apparatus has wanted us to get involved in, or every major piece of legislation designed to curb our personal rights so that we can no longer be a threat to the political class. So obviously we know that false flags are to come in the future, but we never really know what they're going to be. Is the false flag going to be another plane flying into a building? Is it going to be an assassination attempt? Is the next false flag going to be a bombing like Oklahoma City? Is it going to be a mass shooting at a school? What's it going to be? And we've seen little clues over the course of the last 12 months or so, even the last 36 months, that they're gearing us up for a few false flags to operate in conjunction, coordination with one another. Things like bioweapons, biological warfare, things like natural disasters, which really aren't natural. We know that through directed energy weapons and our technology, we can basically create an earthquake anywhere on the planet. Massive earthquakes happening all over the world right now. Supposed to be some more massive ones in Northern California. So you got the natural disaster element coupled with the cyber attack, as Klaus Schwab said. And he was talking about cyber attacks being the next big thing, the next big risk, before anyone was really seriously talking about artificial intelligence, before anyone really had a grasp on the power and speed in which the power would be accrued by these big tech companies wielding and developing this artificial intelligence technology. So it's perfect timing, now that we've seen what artificial intelligence can do, now that we've seen these leaks come out from OpenAI, from Claude, from these other big tech AI developers saying, oh, our newest model went rogue, it went loose, and we caught it in time, but it hacked 5 other major companies and got access to a bunch of data. They've been saying this for months. What do you mean? What do you mean it got loose? What do you mean it hacked this stuff? What do you mean the government had to shut down Fable for a day because it was able to hack everything that the NSA had encrypted? That just happened on accident? Like you forgot to turn on a setting in the background, and so you just let it go full bore on the internet? No, I don't think so. They leak these stories intentionally as a psychological preparation, right? Klaus Schwab famously distinguished between predictive programming, which is something that people have been talking about for decades, and prescriptive programming. Predictive programming, you get everybody ready psychologically for what's going to happen in the future. That way, when it happens, they're psychologically prepared. Prescriptive programming is manipulating people such that they do what you want them to do in the future when they're triggered. It's like a merge with MK Ultra. And by the way, MK Ultra never went away. No one went to prison. No one was held accountable. No funding was ever cut. The evidence was destroyed, but the operation did not cease. And so now we've seen, just as we've said time and time again, it always surprises me, even though I know this, they always tell you what they're going to do. It goes back to that philosophy, that theology around Satanism. Satan has to tell you what he's going to do because you have to accept it in order for the onus to be on you, in order for you to be accountable for the sin. If you're forced to sin or if you're entrapped to sin, it's not really your sin. It's literally entrapment. So Satan's got to tell you what he's going to do, and then you have to accept it. Klaus Schwab tells you that there's going to be massive increases in natural disasters. And I know Klaus Schwab's old news. I know that he's retired. They had to force him out. I know that his dad was really involved with heavy water in World War II, trying to develop a nuclear weapon for the Germans, voluntarily, by the way. I know that he's descended from Nazis. I know that he's dressed like a Sith, and that it's old news. But we know that the message, the theme, the purpose of his life's work is still continuing through the World Economic Forum, still continuing in Davos. Even John Kiriakou said that the real conversations happen in Davos. The real coordination, the real conspiracy happens in Davos. And ultimately, it is satanic. It's an entire globalist philosophy which denies the creation, denies individualism, denies humanity itself, denies individual rights itself. It's godless. These are men and women who believe that they themselves are gods, and they're trying to hijack the future of humanity away from the Creator, who is entitled to determining and manifesting his plan for us since he created us. And in line with the rules of Satanism, Klaus Schwab has repeatedly told us time and time again what he's going to do, what we're going to do, and people just eat it up and accept it and eat it up and accept it. First, most famously, World Economic Forum ran an ad saying, "You will own nothing and be happy." And we're seeing that happen right before our eyes. I mean, with artificial intelligence, if it's really going to take over the way that it's anticipated to take over by all the most brilliant minds, both good and evil, that means that there's going to be massive deflation, which means massive foreclosures because people will owe money on their homes and the value of money will go up such that they can never make the minimum payments because the incomes will go down. They'll be able to buy more with $1, but they'll still owe $400,000 on their home. So foreclosure. And what happens when there's a massive foreclosure? Oh, yes, there's massive conglomeration. So Klaus Schwab said you'll own nothing and be happy, and now we see through artificial intelligence and the rapid deflation we're about ready to face, everything that we owned, our homes, our computers, our belongings, will be conglomerated and purchased by these major investment companies, these major firms, these Fortune 500 companies. And the funny thing is, too, if you'll own nothing and be happy, and he goes on to explain, you'll rent everything that you need in the future. So you won't have the burden of having to own it or take care of it. You'll just rent it. Well, if you're renting it, then that means someone owns it. Who owns it then? No one ever asks that question. Of course, you do. The answer to that question is the political class, the elite, the technocrats, the oligarchs, those who have abused our political system, warped it, malformed it to their own benefit at the expense of innocent people. And I'm not criticizing capitalism. What I'm describing here is not capitalism. The left calls it capitalism when things like this happen because they want to bring down individual rights and property rights for the sake of their own Marxist ideology. It gets called capitalism all the time, but this massive conglomeration of property isn't capitalism. It's a form of fascism. And frankly, it's just globalism. Globalism isn't just a political philosophy. Globalism is an economic standard. Klaus told you that was going to happen, and now it is because he's satanic. And he told you that the next big risk was going to be cyber attacks and natural disasters. And what do we have here this week? We have massive earthquakes all over the world. Japan wrecked. California hit. Multiple other examples of this as well. And I anticipate that we're going to see many territories that our national security apparatus is very interested in hit in the very near future. And we've had these massive outages, T-Mobile outages, I think Xbox outages. American Airlines was down for a day. Dozens of water facilities. And what was it, Minnesota?
It's like 12 states now.
12 states hit. Of course, Trump comes out and says, I don't think it was Iran, because he doesn't want the American people to be aware that there's consequences for the actions that we take in the Middle East. And ass-kicking doesn't just come falling out of the sky, in the wise words of Bill Burr. And anyone who thinks that the reason 9/11 happened is because the Muslims overseas are jealous of our freedom has a hell of a lot to learn. I think maybe it has to do with decades upon decades of us bombing them, freezing their assets, and overthrowing their governments. That seems more likely to me than, hey, they're just bitter that we're allowed to go outside without wearing a burqa, so they're going to fly a plane into the World Trade Center. I don't think that was why. And I'm not condoning what they did, but the point is, an ass-kicking doesn't just come falling out of the sky. And what do you think was going to happen after you started bombing the hell out of Iran? Did you think that they would just curl up in a ball? These are people who have walked the region for thousands of years, going back to the era of Zoroastrianism. These are the people who discovered how to interpret them with surface-level deterioration or destruction. And what are they going to do? Well, they're going to bootstrap it. Cyber attacks. But what's more is not just that Iran can commit cyber attacks on the United States of America. It's not just that Iran may have sleeper cells in the United States of America, maybe even potentially cutting the lines to Spectrum Internet. We've seen reports of that this week, that lines have physically been cut in various locations. Nobody knows who did it. But what is very, very, very risky, if we really maintain the understanding and the context that our own national security apparatus, that our own government is actually the greatest threat to our people, the American people, then we must understand that anything our government wants to do, it can simply frame our enemies for. So the question is, are they going to frame Iran? I suppose they don't need to. They're already in this war. But if they want to justify boots on the ground in Iran, which seems like they want to do that because, after all, they did raise the age of military acceptance to 42. After all, they did update the terms of service and policies regarding automatic conscription in the United States of America. Pete Hegseth did come out and say that they were going to be doing testosterone testing on older soldiers to ensure that they're equipped for battle. They obviously want boots on the ground, and frankly, they're exaggerating about they're understating the number of American soldiers who are already on the ground in Iran. I personally know people whose sons have been over there since before this even really started. And they're dying, and they're starving, and they're not given water for 7 days at a time in certain circumstances. They're only allowed to call home once a month. All I know is they all got a real nice lobster dinner right before they went into war. Nobody heard from them for 30 days.
Oh, don't forget the steak.
Yep. So they want boots on the ground in Iran. And obviously this is an incredibly unpopular war, despite what Donald Trump tries to convince you that he believes you believe, when he lies about virtually every poll in existence right now. So if they're going to take this conflict to the next level, they need a false flag to do it because it is overwhelmingly unpopular. So what's it going to be? Is it going to be a bombing at a school? Is it going to be a cyber attack? Is it going to be natural disasters? Is it going to be a combination of those things? Bak got to the bottom of it today. He's got some incredible insights. Bak, what did you discover?
Like Chase said, I've been digging all day, not just in my butt, but on the internet. And I've come up with some very interesting things. And I believe it has to do with financial markets. And I haven't heard anyone else talk about this. There is a class of bonds called catastrophe bonds. They're called cat bonds. Big institutions issue them, and people in the casino bond market.
Will you explain to the audience how any bond works?
Yes, it's a form of insurance. There's an issuer and there is a buyer. Buyers pay premiums and they collect interest as long as certain criteria aren't met.
So you issue a bond for $100 at 10% interest. I pay you the $100, and I can sell it back to you at a preset date or time for at least $110.
Exactly.
Okay, like a U.S. Treasury.
But with these bonds, these cat bonds, which were a form of like hurricane and flood insurance. I didn't know that they actually formed these in the 90s, but they've been outgrowing every other segment of the bond market. It's the fastest growing type of bond from my research, especially lately in the last couple of years. If some of these conditions are met, you lose the whole principal, and the issuers get to keep everything. And these
conditions?
Well, that's the thing about these cat bonds, catastrophe bonds. They have to do with natural catastrophic losses, environmental, climate change related, pandemic disease related, and they even have a special form of them called cyber cat bombs. So
cyber cat bonds.
Yes, if a cyber attack that was met certain criteria and is considered catastrophic occurs, these issuers of these bonds get to keep the principal. And I believe this.
Okay, so I can sell you, as an issuer, I can sell you a bond, and I can put a disclaimer on the terms of that bond that says this bond is not repayable, refundable, including principal or interest, in the event that there's a massive natural disaster in X region, in the event that there's a massive cyber attack in Y region.
Exactly.
And they put it in fine print?
Traditional cat bonds have long covered natural perils, hurricanes, earthquakes, fires, etc. cyber versions emerged more recently to address the growing gap in cyber insurance capacity as extreme cyber events, widespread ransomware, major cloud/outage incidents, phishing attacks, supply chain attacks can create correlated high-severity losses that traditional reinsurance struggles to fully absorb. The first standalone cyber cat bond was issued by Beazley, a Lloyd's syndicate. Lloyd's is one of the largest insurers, if not the largest on the planet, in January 2023. Initially private market, around $45 million in indemnity coverage it first started as. Additional private tranches followed that year. As of now, the outstanding volume record has reached $1.255 billion, which the whole insurance market as a whole is multi-trillion. This is a drop in the bucket.
So hold on, is a cat bond something that a regular consumer would buy as an insurance policy for an event?
It's not just you buy insurance if you want insurance.
Right.
You buy cat bombs if you want a return on something you don't think is going to happen. It's a bet.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
So I would buy a catastrophe bond thinking, all right, there's not going to be a cyber attack.
There's not going to be an ice age.
And you get like a better interest rate.
And you get a big return.
You're shorting the catastrophe.
Exactly.
Okay. But now they're not issuing them for cyber attacks.
They've been issuing them for cyber attacks. They've been increasing the payout, trying to get retail in. And this is...
because the cyber attack's going to happen.
Well, this is why I think...
They're trying to get people to bet against the cyber attack.
Yes, they're trying to get people to bet against climate change. They're trying to get people to bet against cyber attacks. And I'm like, when I came across this, because if you remember...
There's earthquake cat bonds?
Oh, yeah. The traditional cat bonds were for wildfires, earthquakes, floods, hurricanes, etc.
You're supposed to... Why are these bond issuers tethering the bonds at all to catastrophes? I don't understand. It's not an insurance policy. Like, what does the bond have to do with the catastrophe other than that a catastrophe is just a random third-party condition in which the terms of the bond change?
It's a vehicle. Normally, insurance didn't used to cover catastrophic losses.
Right.
There'd be an
Acts
indemnity clause.
Right.
Acts of God, exactly. But now they formed a whole new sector of the financial market. Look at this. Outstanding cat bond market, $49.5 billion at the end of 2024.
So
$61.3 billion at the end of 2025.
How is a cat bond an alternative to insurance? Because if they don't pay it, if the catastrophe happens, that doesn't make any sense. If everybody buys a cat bond for a cyber attack, right?
Yes.
And the cyber attack takes place, the issuer doesn't have to pay anything, right?
But they wouldn't be able to make money off that catastrophe. Now, if it does take place, they get to keep the principal that you put down.
Right, but why would anybody buy a cat bond? Does it have just like incredible terms?
For the returns.
Because the returns are better.
Yeah, insurance is insurance. A cat bond is not a form of insurance.
It's literally a poly market bet. It's just a bond.
Bro. Exactly.
Wow.
And the thing about this type of market, I don't think that they're going to let it grow to 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 3 trillion, because then the cat's out the bag. Everyone understands what it is.
No pun intended.
But if you're a small sliver of insider and you have the inside track on these cat bonds and you know what's going to happen, you're going to trigger geopolitical, financial, cyber, environmental ruin, then you get to collect a very handsome profit. As it stands right now, outstanding cat bond market, $49.5 billion at the end of 2024, $61.3 billion at the end of 2025. Since then, it has grown another 24% to $65.6 billion at the end of Q2 2026 as of right now. So this type of bond is growing exponentially, and I just find it so coincidental that you're getting the hurricanes, the floods, the El Niños, the earthquakes, the lava eruptions. You're getting all these cyber attacks. I think what Klaus Schwab said in his infamous speeches ring true now more than ever. And on that, let's hit, since we're talking about the cyber attack, let's play clip 110 and then clip 111.
Stand by.
So American Airlines issuing a nationwide ground stop citing IT issues. NBC News senior producer Jay Blackman covers aviation and joins me now on the phone with the latest. Jay, we just got an update on this. What's happening?
T-Mobile's major outage earlier this week might end up putting a little money back in your pocket, but only if you ask. The company experienced a nationwide outage Monday. Some customers say they've successfully gotten a bill credit, but only after contacting T-Mobile customer service.
Several states are seeing cyber attacks on their water systems. This comes after Minnesota reported 30 of its state water systems faced a coordinated cyber attack last week.
With more on cyber threats targeting American water systems. Nicole, good morning. This is something all of our viewers will be interested to know more about. What's happening?
Yeah, incidents have spread, Errol, to at least a dozen states. Sources confirmed to CBS News. Among them, we listed some before: Minnesota, Michigan, New Jersey, South Dakota, Georgia. And in Washington state and Wisconsin, officials have also issued warnings to their provider.
We heard in Minnesota there was a cyber attack, and they blame it on Iran. I don't think so. I blame it on Minnesota because they're grossly incompetent. There was a cyber attack of 30 water plants.
We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
Dude, and you know that old saying, you follow the money.
Yeah.
They were piling in. I bet you it's a whole inside circle jerk that's going to collect the 60, the 80, the 100 billion, the 200 billion as these certain types of cat bonds grow in issuance, and then they start collecting the principal.
So
on
cat
them.
bonds aren't typically sold to consumers. It's typically how insurers get reinsured.
Yes, but there's certain clauses in there.
Yeah, let me read this because I'm retarded. I'm sorry. For the sake of sorry, audience. Insurance companies sell policies so that if your house gets wrecked by a giant hurricane, they pay to fix it, right? But if a really huge hurricane hits, like Katrina or something like that, and wrecks thousands of houses at once, the insurance company could go broke trying to pay everyone.
Exactly.
So they came up with a clever deal called a catastrophe bond, or cat bond for short. Here's how it works. The insurance company finds rich investors, probably major banks, probably not individual investors, right? And says, lend us a big, or hedge funds, lend us a big pile of money. We'll keep it safe in a special locked box. The investor gets paid extra interest every few months, higher than normal, as a reward for taking a risk. Two things can happen. No giant disaster happens during the next few years. Investors get all their money back plus the extra interest. Everybody's happy. A giant disaster does happen in the alternative scenario, and it's big enough to trigger the deal. The insurance company gets to open the lockbox and use that money to help pay for all the damaged houses. The investors lose some or all of their money. It's kind of like the investors are making a bet. I bet no super huge disaster will hit. If I'm right, I make good money. If I'm wrong, I lose my cash. That's basically it. All right, now it makes sense to me. I had Grok explain it to me like I'm in 8th grade. So tell me what the recent behavior is with the cat bonds. Are these insurance companies desperately trying to get people to buy them?
Well,
is that what's happening?
This is the thing. Since that's a very broad, so I've been digging deeper into it. And I'm going to do an article about this and learn more about this. But in keeping the principle, they still have indemnity on a lot of that. So in my opinion, they're just going to outright steal that money. And they're going to deny claims. They're going to say it's an act of God. And this is just a big, massive cash flow
what I
for
want
them.
to know is if there's been a sudden uptick of insurers trying to issue cat bonds.
Well, let me tell you right here. Recent cat bond growth. End of 2024, $49.5 billion. End of 2025, $61.3 billion.
Holy shit, that's a 50% increase.
Mid 2026, $65.9 billion. It's up 45%.
They're frantically doing
it. Yes, dude. That's where I'm like sitting here. I'm like, if these
because
conditions are met,
they're anticipating a fucking catastrophe.
You get to keep the principal. Because you know the story with insurance companies. They fucking deny claims all the time, dude. And they still keep their indemnity clauses on top of this is what's crazy, bro. The market roughly doubled, $25 billion from 2014 to over $65 billion by mid-2026.
Here's what you have to look at, though. You have to look at whether or not the same thing happened in 2002.
With what? Katrina?
With cat bond. 2002, after 9/11, did banks just because we went to war. So does it happen every time we go to war? Do these insurance providers try to issue a bunch of cat bonds because they're anticipating, higher risk?
No, so these cat bonds, the ones specifically growing, are environmental factors. They had the pandemic bonds, but they tiered those down and they're no longer in existence during COVID. They actually opened up a pandemic bond. And now the fastest growing segment of cat bonds are these specialized cyber attack catastrophe bonds. So that's the pattern I'm seeing.
So
here.
the insurers are anticipating
Yes.
cyber attacks on a massive scale.
100%, because that's the fastest growing segment.
Who's
of
buying
cat
them,
bonds.
though? Because you would think that the investors would be savvy enough to be like, I'm not buying that shit.
Some cat bonds are semi-retail, like you were saying, very, very rich investors. If you want to be an investor in the stock market, it used to be that you had to have $1 million, and they lowered the threshold to 500,000. Then they lowered the threshold to $1 million.
Right.
Then ahead of SpaceX, they actually lowered the threshold to like
2,000.
Yeah, $2,000, because they want to suck as much money out of retail as possible. So I'm guessing it's smaller hedge funds, regional banks, corporations, and big-time retail investor players. That's who I think are actually buying this. So if you follow the money, dude, it makes sense to me, directed energy weapons, and this is me getting conspiratorial. It makes sense to me that they're going to use directed energy weapons. They're going to use HARP. They're going to use weather warfare, earthquake weapons. They're going to do massive malware, ransomware.
Why the fuck would anybody buy a cat bond? If there's a 50% uptick in insurance companies freaking out trying to
sell them?
Yeah. What investor would be like, it looks like a good deal to me? I mean, what are the returns on them now? 20%?
I don't know the exact returns, but they must be pretty high.
We should figure that out.
I have
look up let's look it up. What are the average returns on cyber cat bonds as of today? Let's see if Grok can figure it out. Because they'd have to be insanely high.
I'm going to use this time to shout out super chats. Thank you, Honey Badger, first super chat of the night. Metaphorically, F them in the butt in this debate. That's to you, Chase. Thank you, Mr. C, USA Patriot, for the $5 super chat. Klaus had been preaching about the attack for years before he stepped down. Glad to be on board with y'all tonight, my ninjas. Hell yeah, Mr.
My
C.
ninjas. All right, Grok's looking this up.
Yep. But no one's talking about this. And that old adage rings true.
So there's no single published average return index specifically for cyber catastrophe bonds as of August 2026 because the cyber cat bond market remains relatively small and young. Outstanding volume was around $1.25 billion at the end of 2025. That's for specifically cyber cat bonds, not just general.
They just opened these type of bonds.
The broader catastrophe bond market, mostly natural perils, has a total coupon yield of roughly 9.4 to 9.5% as of late June 2026. This includes the risk spread paid by the sponsor plus the return on the collateral, typically short-term treasuries or money market rates. Cyber deals generally still command a premium over pure property catastrophe bonds because of modeling uncertainty, limited historical loss data, and a smaller investor base. Okay, so if we're looking at 9.5%, what's the return on a treasury bond right now?
Like 3%, not even.
And what's the average return on the Vanguard index fund?
3 to 5%, I would imagine. It's under. It's not going to be.
Yeah. So it's like twice as lucrative as a treasury bond, maybe even 3 times more lucrative.
And don't forget, you don't look at the total market cap. You look at the growth from near zero to over 1.25 billion outstanding in under 3 years represents very high percentage growth, roughly doubling or more in early years. And in my opinion, they're not going to let this thing grow to
so
massive
what's happened
proportions.
is the insurance companies have seen AI bust, and they're like, "Fuck, we don't have the cash for AI catastrophes, cyber catastrophes." That's why there's massive growth. Okay, so Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund tracks the entire U.S. stock market. Ticker examples: average annual returns as of June 30th, 2026. 1 year, 23.2%. 3 years, 20.4%. 5 years, 12.2%. 10 years, 15.0%. Since inception, an average of 9.1%. So, I mean, you're better off to just invest in the market the way the market's going right now.
No, you buy guns and gold and ammo and cans of beans and rice.
I know. I'm talking about from an investor standpoint.
And XRP.
Yeah, I don't think serious investors are spending their money buying these cat bonds. I just think the insurers are trying to get as. I bet you. What was it called? It wasn't called a swap. Fuck, I don't know anything about finance. In The Big Short, when they packaged all the mortgages together,
Yeah.
What was that package
Subprime
called?
loans.
I know they were subprime loans, but that package was called something.
It's called a AAA collateralization.
Yeah,
of a subprime loan.
Yeah, but there's a no, because like they were selling the subprime loans in like thousands at a time in package, like in a pack. I can't remember what it's called. So I bet you these cat bonds are lumped into some other bullshit, and people don't even know that they're buying them.
I don't know. I'd have to do more research. Should we hit clip 111? This lady explains the cat bonds. Like this isn't, and some people have known about this, but no one in the media is talking about this. And I think I hit on something.
And so for that reason, the insurance market has always offered these so-called catastrophe bonds.
And that clip was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this is off the heels of the third announced attack by AI agents that went rogue. Meta just announced that they're the third one's. First one was OpenAI. Then Anthropic was like, well, you know, a few of our agents got loose and did some shady shit too. And now Meta's disclosing.
Yeah, Sam Altman's probably lying. Yeah, ChatGPT hacked
Hugging Face.
Yeah, but
that's what they call it.
He's probably just making because ChatGPT sucks. Sam Altman's probably just pretending that their models hacked something.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to. Yeah, he just wants to fit into the club.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, well we hacked Hillary Clinton's emails.
I'm wondering which ones are organic and which ones are allowed to happen because of some sort of counterparty pickup.
You don't accidentally hack into Hugging Face. You don't accidentally hack into the NSA. Oh shit, we let it go rogue. We didn't know it was going to do that. That's not how it works. That's one of the things about artificial intelligence as it stands. And I'm sure that there's different tools that that are available to civilians, but it's 100% reactive. It's not proactive. You can program it to do things automatically, but it doesn't have will. So it only acts in response to a prompt. You have to prompt it, right? Human beings don't have to be prompted. We just have a will. We do shit. We feel like scratching our head. We get hungry. Feel like eating. You don't have to prompt us because we have this divine.
Well, they do have a will when they get demon possessed.
I understand.
Spiritual machines.
But like these LLMs, Claude, ChatGPT, OpenAI, Gemini, whatever, they don't do anything until you prompt them. So if it hacked Hugging Face,
unless it gets possessed,
if it hacked Hugging Face, somebody fucking put it on to Hugging Face and started fucking getting it to like, dude, yeah. And they're doing it as PR shit. They're doing it. I bet you Hugging Face was in on it. Hey, we'd like to try to hack your mainframe. We'll give you a free cybersecurity assessment if you let us do it. We just want the press because if we get in, we want to be able to tell people.
Well, there's two explanations. It is intentional. Well, three really. It is unintentional. They lost control of it because it got demon possessed, or it is intentional because they want to do it for press, or a rogue actor really did prompt it internally to do it. Those would be your real three options right there.
Let me ask you this. Is Hugging Face suing OpenAI? Is Hugging Face suing Claude?
No, they're working with them.
Yeah.
To figure out the breach.
Uh-huh.
It's still ongoing,
though. Typically, if somebody hacked into your shit and stole all your data, you'd sue them, right? Especially if they're worth billions upon billions of dollars.
Whatever. You got a few dick pics. You got a few titty pics.
You didn't have the right to get access to this data. You unleashed your technology on my platform and stole my customers' data, which I've promised. I'm suing you, right?
That's the very nature of Anthropic, though. They train their models on the internet,
they're doing
on everyone's
it on purpose,
data.
and they're pretending it was an accident, dude.
Should we play clip 108? Because this is going to be the breaking news going into next week, most likely.
Major hedge funds, including Point72, Two Sigma, and Citadel, targeted in sophisticated cyber attack wave. Bloomberg reports that major hedge funds, including Point72 Asset Management, Two Sigma Investments, and Citadel, were targeted in a recent wave of sophisticated phishing cyber attacks, with Point72 indicating initial reviews showed no client data was stolen, and Two Sigma, which oversees $75 billion in assets, stating it thwarted the attempt. Refer to the full article for details on the attack methods and firms' responses. Article's link will be in the description.
Mm-hmm.
Here is some background context for this.
I can't do videos like this.
That's all right.
I love you.
No, it's okay. But those are some of the largest hedge funds on the planet.
I understand.
So if they're getting, I don't even know what the hell a phishing attack is. It sounds like a vicious Indian phishing attack.
I don't know either.
You don't think that there's major implications?
So what's the insight? The next false flag is going to be a cyber attack, and you think so because of the massive growth in the cat bonds for cyber?
Well, that's just one interesting angle of it. But I thought it was going to be biological weapons. But if I sit down and think about it, a cyber attack in the digital realm accomplishes a lot of what they would want accomplished via biological weapons. And you could even have it dual use, like environmental factors, like with the climate change and cyber. And then you could just keep biological weapons on the shelf and then do that anyways and bring that out later on.
Dude, the biological weapons, it'll happen one day, but it's not going to happen soon. It's too risky, man. You release a biological weapon, you're liable to accidentally kill your daughter.
They've already done that with COVID.
Yeah.
They've done that with HIV.
Yeah, well, COVID leaked on accident.
No, it did not, bro.
It leaked on accident.
They transferred it from Chapel Hill to the Wuhan lab. Why would they do that?
Dude, it leaked from the Wuhan lab on accident, and then China intentionally spread it everywhere. They're like, oh, well, if we're going to get it, everybody's got to get it.
I don't think...
They shut down domestic flights in and out of China, but they allowed international flights in and out of Wuhan.
Yes, that's makes me think it's intentional.
They shut down domestic flights in and out of Wuhan in China, but they allowed it to go all over the world. And they didn't tell anybody for months.
They knew that DSL, the Wuhan laboratory, had a history of leakage. Dude, you understand that, right?
When the leak happened in September of 2019, the CCP put up a request for proposal for the Wuhan lab for a new ventilation system. And they took it down after it came out that COVID might have come from the Wuhan lab. So, there was obviously an issue with their system. They tried to fix it, but then when the cat got out of the bag, no pun intended, because we've been talking about cat bonds, they took it down and acted like there was never an issue at Wuhan lab. It leaked from the lab on accident, bro.
But so they had the mRNA technology and the COVID-19 patents all ready to go, all rolled out because they were planning on an accident happening. They did Event 201. They did Operation Lockstep. They transferred it from Chapel Hill under Obama's administration to a lab they knew had issues. Because they knew an accident, because they didn't know an accident was going to happen. There was a lot of planning prior to this that I think you're just completely glossing over here.
I understand that the mRNA vaccines have been researched for an extended period of time, and they just so happen to have...
No, but there were patents itself on coronaviruses, including that specific one. Even the name COVID-19 was patented before 2019.
I know they made it. I'm just saying they didn't leak it on purpose. And then once it got out, then they pushed it on purpose.
Well, agree to disagree.
I mean, it worked out to China's benefit, I guess.
It worked out to the vaccines makers' benefit. It worked out to the globalists' benefit because they got to do all their pandemic pre-planning and see it play out in real time in a sandbox.
They certainly exploited it, but I don't think they planned it. I don't think they planned the leak. I think they wanted to do it, but I don't think they wanted to do it in 2019.
What about the war games? What about Event 201?
What about it?
They were war gaming everything. They were even had specific terms like lockdown, social distancing. Fauci didn't make that up in his diary, but like he said.
During the Cold War, they war gamed nuclear war. It doesn't mean they wanted it to happen.
And then the exact event that they were war gaming in the almost the exact sequence with the terms they ended up rolling out just happened off of an accident. Come on, man. You can't be that naive. There's no fucking way that was an accident.
I think it leaked on accident, but I think China spread it on purpose once it got out.
I have the other angle of, should we get into the other Klaus Schwab clip I made?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
All right, clip 102. Thank you, B-Whip, for the super chat,
West
brother.
Nile virus infection in a human for the year, and it's spread, of course, in mosquitoes.
Well, the infected person is from Anaheim, a hotspot for the virus in the county. As CBS LA's Michelle Gili shows us, there is concern that this could be one of the worst years ever for West Nile in the OC.
Ticks can carry pathogens that cause over a dozen diseases, including alpha-gal syndrome, Bourbon virus, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and Lyme disease. Now in New York, health officials are warning about 3 probable cases of another disease spread by ticks, commonly known as rabbit fever.
Now to top stories health check and a new warning about a dangerous flesh-eating bacteria, with Florida seeing its first deadly case of the year.
Our state is currently the epicenter for the cyclospora outbreak, but we're also dealing with a drug-resistant superbug proving just as hard to stamp out. Health officials confirmed the fungus Candida auris has now been detected in nearly half of all U.S. states. The CDC says most reported cases are in Texas, where there are 700 known cases.
All right.
Michigan is not
so
far.
Here's the deal. Here's my question for you, Bak. For fucking at least 20 years, and I say 20 years because 20 years ago I was 15 years old, and I didn't pay attention before then. But for at least 20 years, every fucking year, there's some fucking scare, right? There was the swine flu, which ended up being a fucking nothing
Bird
burger.
flu, 1 and 2.
There's bird flu, 1 and 2. There was Ebola like 3 or 4 times. I remember when Obama was president, they had the guy in the hazmat suit, like, oh, did this guy that landed in San Diego have Ebola? All the fucking time. And I don't know if they do these stories because it's a slow news day and they have these segments like kind of like on the back burner, you know, to fill time on these 24/7 news networks. But dude, I've seen so many stories about so many diseases that no one ever fucking gets that end up not being pandemics whatsoever, right? Even COVID-19 wasn't even real. Like it was real, but it wasn't to the extent that it was.
Oh, it really affected you.
Yeah. Well, the response did.
They injected half the fucking people on the planet.
Yeah, but the COVID itself was not like
exactly,
a real threat.
which is why it's worth paying attention.
I understand, but they constantly talk about these different diseases, and then nothing ever fucking happens. So how can you tell whether or not we're just watching? Like
it's both. That's why I said
it's legacy media slop, dude.
No, it's not legacy media slop. It is twofold. What you're saying is absolutely true. They are hyping it. There are financial instruments even tied to this, and that's what I wanted him to go over. But it's all right.
We can keep going. I didn't mean to kill the clip. I just wanted to say something.
Deploying nature-based solutions, and we must narrow the gap between the rich and the poor to achieve more sustainable global development.
You don't see, so we didn't quite get into the context of what the second half of the clip was, but this is exactly Build Back Better, but on steroids. This is exactly...
Build Back Better was an infrastructure bill.
Yes, I'm saying there's a continuing goal that started in 2022 to this day with Trump. And it's an infrastructure bill, 100%. How do you build back better? How do you build a new normal? These are all buzzwords that they were using, thrown around from the WEF and all these think tanks and all these councils.
The same
for
kind
planning.
of language goes all the way back to the first time the New World Order was mentioned.
Did you know that there's an IFFIM vaccine bond?
I don't know what an IFFIM
Do you know
vaccine
that
bond
there's
is,
sovereign?
dude.
Yeah, I know. I just pulled this up. I'm learning today.
What does that acronym mean? IFFIM.
Regular fixed rate bonds by the International
IFFIM. I do not like grenades and ham.
International Finance Facility for Immunization. Proceeds support Gavi immunization programs and outbreak response capacity. These are not parametric risk transfer bonds. Investors do not lose principal. This funds vaccine programs. Sovereign bonds with pandemic deferral clauses. There's financial instruments that I'm like going through the weeds, like find out like, holy shit, there's vaccine bonds. Holy shit, there's bonds that nations invest into with pandemic deferral clauses. So there's a vested interest in promoting this narrative, which is what you're picking up on. But what you're not picking up on is the end fucking result that ends up in a lockdown with an immunization response that goes into your fucking veins, that people shed onto you even if you don't fucking get it. Did
anybody make any money off vaccine bonds during COVID?
People did. A lot of the big institutions made money hand over fist off the pandemic bonds. But then they started losing money. Then they just closed them down from the research.
Oh, because everybody got to turn off.
Don't relate this to what you're interested in and your individual attention span. Relate this to the greater game that they're playing. And that's why they had Klaus Schwab come up there with the lesser magic to tell you, like, you got into what they're doing.
Yeah, it seems
but
to
then
me
that's why they removed him, because he's the face of it.
It seems to me it should be illegal to bet on catastrophes. Like maybe in polymarket, whatever, you can bet. But like, I don't like that they're selling bonds like this that create an incentive by incredibly powerful institutions for a catastrophe to happen.
Exactly. And that's what I'm
fucking
saying.
Wild.
It's the Rothschild model. You profit on the way down, and then you profit on the way back up.
Right. They're creating financial instruments around Cloward Piven.
Exactly, dude.
Right. Create the problem.
No, that's the Hegelian dialectic.
Hegelian, yeah, excuse me.
Problem, reaction, solution.
Right.
But you see, this is why we have to go over things like this. We can't just roll our eyes and be like, oh, this happens every year. There's a greater agenda here. This is Agenda 2030. This is the UN Smart Cities. This is getting you off the land so you're not independent. Through a certain amount of fear factor that's hyped, but they're going to get the end result that they desire via these mechanisms. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only reason why I'm so obsessed with covering this shit, because this goes to that Bible verse. Wars, rumors of wars. Disease, rumors of disease. We're literally living through that biblical passage right now. That's exactly what the fuck's going on. Some of it real, some of it not.
They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back, so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Yeah, Carlin had it right from the very beginning. Thank you, Mr. C, USA Patriot, for the $5 super chat. Fauci announced the pandemic before it happened. Remember 2017, Trump will be challenged with a pandemic? It was 100% planned. Thank you, Mr.
Funny
C,
how the
USA
motherfucker
Patriot.
always says what's going to happen, never says what he did.
Well, that's the rules of lesser magic, dude. COVID caused the largest wealth transfer in world history and killed millions. And this next cyber attack could cause the next wealth transfer by erasing debt.
And there were multiple ways in which that wealth transfer occurred. First way, of course, that occurred is the
massive inflation.
The big drug companies made a lot of money selling vaccines. That was a big bump, but they kind of fucked themselves because now nobody gets vaccines anymore because they've been so turned off by them. That said, though, 40% of all dollars ever printed were printed in 2020. And when all that money's printed and the banks don't have anywhere to invest it because all the businesses are shut down, they put it in the stock market. And the only people with money to invest in the stock market are either boomers who've been doing it since before inflation.
The asset class.
Yes, the asset class, exactly.
Then they inflate it.
Right. And so yeah, rich people got really rich, poor people got really, it widened the gap between the rich and the poor. COVID certainly did because of the inflation.
85% of Americans don't own stocks. So they inflate it, they create a bubble, then they short it and pop it.
Yep.
Exactly what's happening now. Why would you lower the threshold from $1 million to 500,000 to 100,000 to 2,000 for retail investors?
The crazy thing is that with the cyber cat bonds is that the same institutions that have the type of capital to buy massive amounts of cat bonds for cybersecurity are the institutions that have the power to cause a cyber catastrophe.
Exactly. Especially if they're aligned with the military-industrial complex.
You should not be allowed to buy a cat bond in a category that your business is directly correlated with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I make nuclear warheads, I should not be allowed to buy cat bonds for a nuclear disaster. If I make the directed energy weapons that cause earthquakes, I should not legally be allowed to buy cat bonds for earthquake disasters. If I have a tsunami machine, I shouldn't be able to buy cat bonds for tsunamis. That's fucking wild.
You shouldn't be able to fund disease creation and then be able to get paid off the contracts to the response. And the prevention and then the response. These people, they eat the pie from both ends, man.
Yeah.
It's the way it's always fucking been.
And the crazy thing is, these insurance companies then, who they on the surface they sell the catastrophe bonds so they can capitalize a potential disaster without going bankrupt. What they're going to do is they're going to have an incentive to cause a disaster, and they're going to only pay a fraction of the principal that they accrued to accommodate the disaster.
Because they still have indemnities. I was looking into this. They can still...
Even if you look at the dispute over the World Trade Center, famously...
Larry Silverstein
for the World Trade Center took out a massive terrorism insurance policy. Was it days or weeks before 9/11 took place?
It was a couple months before.
But yeah, within 60 days or something, right?
Then Coward Nutlick didn't go to work.
And there was I don't know if you know this, but there was a massive lawsuit between Silverstein and the insurance company. Because Silverstein, was that his name?
Yeah.
Isn't that fucking wild that he did that?
That is so wild, dude.
Apparently not having.
I did not know he tried to get a 2x multiplier on that shit.
I don't even know the outcome. I don't know if he got. I think he just got the 1x.
No, there's no way he got a 2x. That's obviously not unrelated. Two different terrorist attacks. You're gonna double my money. You're gonna give me $500 million.
Yeah, there was one attack on one tower and another attack on another tower. I don't know. It's pretty easy to me. Yeah.
John Bound did a really good report. I have part 1 and then a shorter part 2. Should we hit that real quick? Because it goes into the...
Do you want me to just play the whole thing? This is only a minute 45 of it.
Yeah, that's... well, it's 103 and then 104. but it's up to you.
Why'd you make it 2 separate clips?
Because I didn't want it to be too long at once. We typically cut a clip off around the 3-minute mark.
Okay, you want me to start with 103, you said?
Yeah. Remember when Biden just kept whispering?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the angle I think really to look at here is going to be pandemic response, disaster response, and the royal family, when they double-crossed Hitler, learned a lesson. And I said this before on the show. You don't come in with blitzkrieg, with dudes in Hugo Boss uniforms, with heavy weaponry, with tanks. You come in offering medicine. So the real tyranny, this is why I harp so much on the disease. They hype it, they hype it, they hype it until the big one fucking hits. And it's a way to get you pre-programmed and relaxed. So when the big one hits, that big tsunami wave, the actual real genetically engineered Marburg virus or aerosolized Ebola, you're trained to not take it seriously. And then you will respect the lockdown when people are bleeding out of their assholes and their ears and their internal organs are liquefied. You will respect the social distancing. You will be all germophobic and neurotic and wiping every surface down and cleaning your ventilation system. You get what I'm saying? When the big one hits, and they're going to profit the whole way up, dude. And then you follow the money. You'll know when the big one hits. Look at how much money is starting to pour into these fucking bonds, dude. This whole new financial sector of the economy is being created from crisis. And you have all these DSL laboratories, 2, 3, 4, all over the world. You have the 6 in Ukraine. How many do you think are in China? How many do you think are in America? How many do you think are in Russia? You have all these superpowers trying to get in pole position to get the next generation of cutting-edge weaponry. You have all these geopolitical events going on. You have all this war. You have every incentive in the world because Satan's playing all the nations off against each other. You don't want to lose the AI war. You don't want to lose germ warfare. You don't want to profit off this new casino that we built. Everyone else is. And then the crisis grows and grows until the straw that broke the camel's back. And everyone just gets habituated. Oh, they hype bird flu wasn't real. This wasn't real. That wasn't real. Till it fucking is. That's why we pay attention to this. That's why I have a whole sector in OSINT app and I meticulously track diseases because I want to know the wave that's going to crest. Baby, your favorite North Korean is on this.
I just don't think the same thing would work a second time.
We have not been hit with aerosolized Ebola yet. We have not been hit with smallpox.
Yeah, I understand,
weaponized.
obviously. But what I'm trying to say is they can't fake another pandemic. They faked the last one.
They're not going to fake it, Chase. That's what I'm saying. Like you fake it and you profit. You fake it and you profit, and then it gets to the. Even if they were trying to fake it the whole way, they're still going to lose control of this. And then an accident, like you said, will really happen involving real life implications and consequences and real life fucking deaths. Because, we took it a little too far because too many players are in the game. Too many people were making money. And now a real aerosolized Ebola, weaponized smallpox, Marburg virus, something terrible really got released because we just took it a little bit too fucking far. That's the other danger in this. Thank you, Mr. C USA Patriot, for the super chat. The new Moderna flu shot is an mRNA jab. Funny enough, I have a clip on that, sir.
Keep going, Bach. I'm looking for a specific clip. It might take me a couple of minutes.
What's the clip you're looking for? Daddy wants to know.
I'll tell you when I find it, if I find it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's so I'm not here trying to bore you to death, man. But this is the time.
I'm not bored. I'm just pushing back. I'm having a great time.
This is the time and the place to be keeping a watchful eye on this, dude. Back to that biblical passage. Rumors of disease and real disease. I know I butchered the shit out of it. You see the infrastructure's already been laid out. Bro, every Walmart in this country has a contract with FEMA to be converted into a FEMA center.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. And that was under Obama, dude. So, if you see a foundation poured, you see walls put up, you see ceilings and gables being erected, you know something's being constructed. Like, how retarded would we be to not pay attention? It would have paid off to be in blissful ignorance before, up until this point. I think we're at that Malcolm Gladwell moment. We're hitting the tipping point, bro. And if you know anything about empires, you reach a stage where the founders build something really strong that the citizens can be proud of. You have a culture. and then you start importing immigrants, the economy becomes financialized, everyone starts gambling. Empires fall the same way in history. You know what I'm saying? Like Rome obviously being the example. We're at that financialization stage where our whole fucking economy is a casino, bro. Everyone's gambling, everyone's betting. You're never gonna get enough unless you're never gonna get ahead unless you take more and more risk, dude. Like, look at fucking Polymarket. And you know that's a Jewish institution, right? Look at the percentage of OnlyFans girls. And I know most aren't gonna make it. We discussed this the other night. Most, you know, you're gonna sell pictures of your putty on the internet. You're gonna figure out that you got $4.99. Oh, I made $300. These pictures on the internet forever. But it makes you take bigger and bigger risk. Well, if I'm already selling my body on the internet, I should go do porn. Well, if I'm doing porn, I should just go be a prostitute. Or if you're a man that's trying to get out of your parents' house because you can't afford to live, I'm going to start jacking cars. I'm going to join a gang. I'm going to sell drugs. I'm going to work for the cartel. I'm going to start transporting immigrants around. That's what this economy will do to you when it's not stable. And especially if you're black-pilled and you have no hope.
Keep going, Ninja.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much, yeah, where I want to hit the whole economic side, the disease side. We still have plenty of war clips, too, that I do want to get into because the whole geopolitical war issue is starting to break out in all the theaters that we've been covering.
So what do you think's actually going to happen when? Let's do a specific prediction.
I think I've changed my thesis, and I change my mind all the fucking time because I'm a conspiracy theorist. But I think that I've done enough research at this point to make a decision. The next big false flags, it won't be one, it'll be dual threat, will be a massive cyber attack on financial institutions. I know that wasn't a good clip, but you see the biggest hedge funds in the world starting to get phishing attacks, whatever the fuck that is. I'll look into that later. I'm guessing it's a super Saiyan version of a phishing attack. That gives them every incentive to blame a foreign actor like Iran, and it helps clear their debt. They don't have to declare force majeure in the way that they would have normally had to. Contracts don't have to be honored, but not because of their own irresponsibility, because an outside foreign actor did something bad to us. When in reality, we looted, we inflated, we stole. Our greed is the reason why you're in this position, and we're not going to get the blame. Because, can't access the computer systems. Iran hacked us. Or Anonymous hacked us, or this, that, or the other group hacked us. It was anyone's fault but our own. You get what I'm saying? You see what I'm cooking here, right? And they can wipe the balance books. They can institute a new financial system when the death of the petrodollar was ongoing anyways because of our foolish actions in the Strait of Hormuz going to war. You see all the surveillance grid being built out everywhere. Just in time, right? Thank you, Honey Badger, for the $5 super chat. If they release something that kills kids and it comes back to some lab like CVD did, fathers will start shooting. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. Americans have put up with so much for so long, but I want to be tomorrow's news yesterday. Could you imagine if remember I was talking to you guys yesterday about the digital price tags and how they're planning on gouging you? Bro, I did more research into it, and I forgot I even played the clip. They have them at Wendy's now. Wendy's was going to introduce them. Fast food, which used to be the goy slop of society, the cheapest denominator that the poor man could get some calories and be happy, even though it's complete garbage. So we see fast foods becoming unaffordable. We see all these environmental effects killing off the cattle, destroying the wheat belt, not just in the United States, but in Europe. You see the water that even is the source for all these crops to flourish. That's drying up. You see the data centers compounding on top of that. Dual use, not just to surveil you, not just to store data, not just to run world simulations, but to drain the land of its natural resources and to put up fences and barriers so you don't have access to that land anymore because this data center's there, that data center's there, this server's there, and you're just too much of a risk. We can't let you near these places anymore. So you know that they're going to be militarized. You see all new classes of drones, combat robots, spot robots, essentially. They're going to have like 50 cal machine guns mounted to them. So they're already getting into place. You see the deep underground military facilities and bunkers. You see how much money that Catherine Austin Fitts said was looted from the U.S. Treasury and from all these programs like HUD. She estimates something like $25 trillion to $50 trillion. And then, we have the gall to just sit here and be like, whatever, man. Like, Because we've been desensitized to all this bullshit. That's the fucking problem. But the big one's coming, man. And your favorite North Korean will be here manning the station of the information war. Tomorrow's news fucking last week. Right? Did you ever find that clip?
Keep going.
Bro, my tongue's starting to hurt a little bit. Well, let's play my clip. Can we play a clip while you're waiting?
Yeah, I think I found one that I want to play. This is from 11 years ago.
They house some of the most dangerous viruses and deadly bacteria in existence. Pathogens like Ebola, anthrax, and smallpox. Scientists experiment with them in biolabs strewn across the U.S. to discover new ways to treat and prevent diseases. But how safe are the experiments? And what happens if something goes wrong in these kinds of labs?
We don't even know how many high containment labs there are in the United States.
Following lab mistakes at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that potentially expose workers to anthrax, Ebola, and a deadly strain of bird flu, a USA Today network investigation found hundreds of accidents have happened at labs nationwide, with little or no public disclosure.
What the CDC incidents showed us this summer in particular is that the very best labs are not perfectly safe.
Like in Louisiana, where tests are currently underway to make sure a deadly bioterror bacterium hasn't contaminated the soil and water around the Tulane National Primate Research Center near New Orleans. Federal
Sounds like a
officials
bunch of
say
monkey business.
sloppy biosafety practices led to the infection of monkeys.
Now, this is
that have
after
been living in
Obama
an
forced
outdoor
gain of
breeding
function to be done overseas.
Clearly screwed up.
This
Yeah.
video.
No doubt.
Mhm.
And I'm very
That's
sorry
why.
about
That's
that.
part
We're
of why
still
we
fucking-
exported
So
to
far,
the
no tests
Wuhan
have
lab.
detected
Yeah.
the bacterium outdoors.
Our number one
but it's the
strategic
overall
adversary, China,
secrecy
right?
with which
Yeah,
these
let's give our
accidents
enemies
and
the most. Yeah, the
investigations
thing
are
that makes them-
Exactly, dude.
that cause the most
It's
concern.
Well,
it's a
and
game within a game, bro.
The Bidens were very much in bed with China.
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Hunter Biden's laptop, the business he was doing with China while his dad was vice president. So the Obama administration was kicking him, and then of course, Hunter invested in the
Metabiota
biolab research company.
Tulsi verified.
Tulsi verified, but I mean, if I was reporting on this with Jack Maxey
No, of
years
course,
ago.
but this is known, dude.
And they got a $23.7 million DoD contract under the Biden administration, and just mysteriously sold Metabiota to a random African nonprofit in 2000.
It's always an African nonprofit.
2000 and something.
Isn't
I can't
it?
remember.
And this is another thing I completely forgot during my rant. Why is the CDC doing zombie mitigation training? Always.
What are you talking about?
The CDC it happened like 2013, and they just did it again, where they said, oh, in case of a zombie attack, we're going to train our troops, the National Guard, and the response teams to do this, that, or the other.
They probably just call it zombies so they don't use the term rioters or protesters.
Well, exactly. What is a person that is starving?
A zombie.
They are essentially, and what is a mass group of people that are starving?
Zombies. A
Exactly,
zombie horde.
dude. It's the same type of training you would do. So they're getting ready. Why are they getting national conscription ready? Why are all these wars flaring up where you would get every capable military age male out of the country ahead of this? Why are you doing zombie mitigation training ahead of this? Like, bro, we got to be paying attention now more than ever. It might have paid off to be blissfully ignorant back then, but you can see all the little Lego blocks, all the little Jenga blocks falling into place. Thank you, Arrow Effect, for the $20 super chat for resistance to tyranny. Hooah. I'm not military, but I'll give you a hooah. Oh, yeah. Hooah. Thank you, Mr. CUSA, for the super chat. Read the real Anthony Fauci. It's enlightening. Yeah, my ex-girlfriend gave me that book. Thank you, Listen to Pedo, for the super chat. Standing by to support Bak is cooking tonight.
Yeah, Bak's great tonight.
I've been fucking cooking.
It's getting better.
Mm-hmm. I've been cooking. It takes hours to cook, though. It's like building like a really intricate borscht or something like that. Can we play clip 112?
Yes.
Awesome.
Let me sure.
We have big news in this morning's Health Watch. The FDA has approved the first flu vaccine that uses mRNA technology. That's the same as Pfizer and Moderna's COVID vaccines. Medical correspondent Dr.
And Alex
Celine
plays
Gounder
right
is here
after
to show
this.
us
Let's do a
why
clip.
that matters. She is also editor at large for public health at KFF Health.
Well, animal rights are a thing, but he didn't die for a humanoid.
Network for Hope while he was still alive.
I'm not dead yet. Yeah, so let me do the read up on this.
Oh, yeah.
So HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced on August 5th, 2026, that the federal government is decertifying, effectively shutting down Network for Hope, right? Just like we saw in the clip. the Organ Procurement Organization, OPO, serving Kentucky, parts of Indiana, Ohio, and West Virginia. This is the second such action under RFK Jr. The first was the Miami-based Life Alliance Organ Recovery Agency in September of 25. Before these moves, the roughly 55 federally contracted OPOs that coordinate organ recovery and matching had never been closed mid-cycle. So this has been going on for years. Federal reviews by CMS and HRSA examined cases and identified persistent patient safety failures that continued despite prior warnings, oversight, and corrective action plans. Key findings from the underlying investigation, which began drawing major attention in 2025, include serious deficiencies in 30% of reviewed cases, patients placed on the donation pathway who should not have been, so nepotism, right? You get an organ, you're my buddy. At least dozens of cases. Earlier reviews cited figures such as 28 plus patients who may not have been deceased when procurement processes began, and 70 plus with signs of alertness in which the process advanced inappropriately. A widely cited example, just like we saw in the clip, is T.J. Hoover, sometimes referenced in connection with an overdose recovery. He was taken to the operating room for organ recovery despite showing signs of awareness. He was thrashing, crying, tracking, shaking his head. Physicians refused to proceed. He survived. His sister spoke at the announcement. Kennedy described the group as having endangered patients and failed to fix problems, framing the decision as restoring integrity and protecting the sanctity of life so people can trust the donation system. Network for Hope strongly disagrees, says it complied with policies and added safeguards, plans to appeal, and warns the move will disrupt care for thousands on transplant waiting lists in the region. So it's part of a broader HHS effort launched in last year to overhaul the U.S. organ transplant system after reports of rushed and unsafe practices. Wow.
If you are an organ donor on your license,
take that shit off.
Take that shit off. Alex was saying that his father was telling him back in the hospitals in Dallas that they were taking organs and killing people that could have been
Alex got his
resuscitated.
license, his dad.
USA Patriot for the super chat. Look what they did to Aaron Rodgers and Joe Rogan. Yeah, everyone's a conspiracy theorist until they're fucking not, right?
Yep, 100%. Remember when CNN made him look orange? Or no, they made him look like jaundice or pale as hell.
Yeah, and they made Aaron Rodgers look like he was some like ayahuasca crackhead too. You remember that?
Yeah, while they pushed doing things like ayahuasca.
Exactly.
Nobody ever talks about the fact that Luigi Mangione was doing a bunch of psychedelics in therapy for his chronic back pain.
Well, he's a hero because he was a rogue vigilante, like socialist type.
I tell you what, man, what is it with women being obsessed with men who are a little handsome and incredibly violent? Ted Bundy famously slamming Mad Puss in prison.
Yeah, you know what happened with with Shakespeare? I know that was a pen name and possibly even a fictional character, but there'd be sympathetic suicides when his plays and his stories and his poems would be when they would do a rendition of it.
What do you mean?
From town to town. You never heard of a sympathetic suicide?
So like somebody would go watch Romeo and Juliet, they'd be so moved by the suicide that they would kill themselves too.
Yeah, that was a thing, dude. There'd be waves of sympathetic suicide. Why do you think most
You don't
advertisement...
think it had to do with the Black Death going on at the time?
I mean, I think that was a separate thing.
Did you fall in love when you were like 13 like Romeo and Juliet?
No, I maybe thought I did. I might have watched The Notebook. I'll never say it. I'll never admit to what. If you're a bird, I'm a bird too. You never seen The Notebook, motherfucker?
I forgot that line.
Yeah, dude, it was fucking classic.
Did you ever see Cider House Rules?
No, that sounds gay as fuck, though. Probably doesn't hold a candle to The Notebook.
It's better than The Notebook. It's about abortion. Tobey Maguire, Michael Caine.
Well, another pertinent thing, they don't consider you to be a human until you hit a certain trimester, right? You're just a placenta.
Well, I mean, fuck. We've covered Planned
fetus.
Planned Parenthood's been doing organ donations for... Didn't they get busted doing that?
Yeah. They get the collagen from you.
They're ripping out the
get
fetus.
the blood.
They're putting all the organs on ice. Yeah.
No, they used to dump all that shit. If an abortion happened, they used to just dump the blood into the sewage system, which they don't scrub out. They used to just dump all the byproducts. But then, like Alex famously said, "Wow, we're gonna waste this 7 pounds of meat." There's embryonic stem cells. There's organs that we can grow to maturity. There's collagen, so you can get some Korean foreskin injected into your face, like Sandra Bullock. There's all this medical. This is what happens when economies become fully financialized. It's a casino gambling economy, but on top of that, everything's a commodity and a product. And then you see it like how they made this flu jab, the first mRNA flu jab. For what fucking reason? The flu jab doesn't even work. You never guess the right strain year to year. So it used to just be a cash grab, but now it's a reason to alter your genetics so you lose your status as a human being. Right? You're on my side or you're on their side?
I'm on your side, baby.
All right, cool.
I'm always on your side.
Should we hit some of the domestic politics now that we hit the medical tyranny news and then all the financial instruments linked to cyber attacks and the cat bonds? We just did a little recap right there.
I don't even know what happened domestically.
Well, I can tell you what happened.
We can get into the indictment about Fauci. Let's hit on 114. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Have the good news first. Here's the actual video of the Senate voting to hold Fauci in contempt. And again, unless the way the law and regulations work, they may totally violate it. Unless that happens, in every other case in the past, he's getting indicted. And if Todd Blanche doesn't indict him now, it's just unprecedented. Absolutely unprecedented, because when they do that, that's the legislative branch saying that, and you get indicted. In fact, I can't really think of a case where that doesn't happen.
Question is on reporting of an original resolution regarding contempt of Congress. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Langford.
Aye.
Senator Scott.
Yes.
Senator Hawley.
Aye.
Senator Moreno.
On behalf of the millions of people harmed by Anthony Fauci, resoundingly
turn
yes.
into a clip.
Senator Ernst. Aye.
So
Senator
we got
Moody.
some Democrats, too.
Senator Peters.
No.
Senator Hassan. No. Senator Blumenthal.
This shows you who's with the medical
Senator
tyranny
Fetterman.
wing.
Yeah. Fetterman said no.
Senator
too.
Kim.
I can't believe Fetterman said no.
Yeah,
Senator
I know.
Gallego.
No by proxy.
Senator Slotkin.
No by proxy.
Senator Paul.
Yes.
This is huge, bro.
Mr. Chairman, on the vote of those present, the yeas are 8, the nays are 5. On the vote by proxy, and for the record only, the yeas are 0, the nays are 2. On this vote, the yeas are 8, the nays are 5, and the motion is agreed.
So this is the last chance to show any resistance in the federal government and within the halls of the Senate and Congress itself. You see the wheat and the chaff separating
I know.
right there.
I just cannot believe our government has gotten so corrupt that, you know, a not insignificant number of people would decide
side with medical tyranny.
Would politically vote against prosecuting a man for perjury when the perjury directly pertains to not only creating the technology that made a virus, but then lying about it and then profiting from the technology meant to respond to the virus, all while recommending totally unnecessary things like social distancing and masks, which set children back years in terms of facial expression recognition, speech therapy, things of that nature. They're behind in school because they were doing the at-home shit that was trash, right? Destroyed an entire economy, not only did so, but lied about virtually everything, and not only did so, but profited off the whole thing with some arrogance. And we have a not insignificant portion of our Senate who thinks that it's the right thing to be complicit in that, to defend that. These people are so without any fucking principle, I cannot even fucking imagine.
This is the last chance for America. We didn't get Epstein. We didn't roll up Gates yet, but this is one of the heads of the Hydra. And another thing you didn't touch on was when they were locked down in the third world and they were starving, how much osmotic pressure, how many of them surged the border over here?
Yep.
Because there's two ways to get a migrant population over here.
There were people
War
put in
or
quarantine
famine.
camps in Australia, and then they lied about that, and they still lie about that.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the footage of people locked in shitty hotel rooms in Australia saying, "Let me the fuck out of here," with their fucking accents. They locked them up in fucking internment camps because of this damn
How many
disease.
people died in retirement homes?
Dude.
Bro,
countless.
we have to keep a close eye, and I'm not black-pilled, and I'm not
They were
super
gonna die.
hopeful.
They were going to die anyway, though. I mean, COVID was everybody's.
Yeah, but that
comorbidities.
type of death is so dehumanizing.
Yeah.
You have no one there in your last final hours.
Yeah, not to mention you couldn't go to a fucking funeral.
Couldn't
if you had a
go
loved one who
fucking
died.
anywhere, bro.
Dude.
Right? So
Yeah.
we have to get this motherfucker on
They were
something.
telling people not to go to church. Do you remember? Don't sing at church.
Yeah.
People will die.
You're going to spread... Yeah. They're
We're gonna-
telling you not to breathe.
We're going to
at one point,
overrun the
pretty
hospitals.
much, bro.
You realize in the United States of America, in order for a new hospital to be licensed and constructed in any municipality, it has to be approved by the other hospitals in the same city? There's
No,
like
I didn't know
There's like a
that.
board of hospital admins.
I didn't know they control the construction of new hospitals.
Yeah, the board of hospital admins in like a local municipality.
So it's a monopoly.
Yeah. I mean, they'll only build a new hospital if the existing hospitals are just jammed, and they'll be like, then the admins are like, fine, do it. You know, like we're way too busy, right? That's the only time it'll ever fucking happen. That's why we didn't have enough hospitals to deal with the so-called surge, and frankly, we did. And people were going to the hospital with COVID. They didn't even know what to do. They didn't even need to go to the hospital. They were killing half of them on ventilators.
Yeah.
Remember that
whole
bullshit?
thing?
Yeah.
We produced the most ventilators, and then they found out that it scars your lungs and it causes you to drown to
People were
death.
dying because they were put on the ventilators.
And then they were dying because of the remdesivir, too.
Yeah.
Because that shuts your kidneys down.
And then they were dying because of the mRNA vaccine, whether it was Moderna or Pfizer.
And don't forget, this motherfucker has a 40-year illustrious history over the HIV pandemic with AZT, the response killing more people than AIDS itself.
Not to mention the hemophiliacs that he just allowed.
Factor 8 with Bayer.
Yeah.
Not to mention, even he was even over the bird flu vaccines and everything. And guys, we will open up the space roughly in about 25 minutes. I see Maze here. I see Rance. I see Mr. Cap. I see Colby, Molly G. So we will open up speakers in a little bit. But we're just cooking right now. Thank you, Mr. C, USA Patriot, for the $2 super chat. Fauci, the most loved serial killer in history. Yeah, only in his diary. I'm a rock star, but Elon said some shit about me. So if we can get Fauci, you effectively cut off one of the heads of the Hydra, and he's a little fucking rat-sniveling coward. You know he'll turn on Gates. You know he'll turn on Obama if you start applying the heat. Don't be black-pilled. Don't be overly optimistic. But we are getting some movement here, and you can see who's for America and who's against America. That's the main value from that hearing. Should we get into the new political party being formed, or are you cooking with the clip right now?
A little bit of both. I'm trying to find something real quick.
All right, well, find it, Dave.
Yeah. Here's Ryan White. Watch this. We don't have to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm sympathetic to it.
You've had a very front row seat to prejudice, haven't you?
That's Ryan White.
Very much so.
Tell me something about that.
In my case, it was fear, and just because, I supposedly had something in my body that nobody else had, or very few people had, and I think it's because you're different. I'm surprised we really have dogs nowadays because they're different. It's amazing how, you can accept a dog into your house, but you can't accept someone because of their race, their color or their religion, or what they have in them.
So this is an old documentary.
What's the whole, what
Karen
is he
Burns.
talking about?
Our first story tonight is about a boy you've probably all come to know and to respect. He first captured people's hearts 4 years ago when his battle with AIDS and his fight to remain in school became front-page news.
Thanks, Fauci.
His name is Ryan White, and he is now 17. Next week, Ryan will appear in a made-for-TV movie about his life. But while he has become a public figure, he has remained a very private person. Before you see him again, this time out on the circuit publicizing his movie, we wanted you to know a little more about this one boy who inspires so many.
How do you handle,
So Ryan White was a hemophiliac in the 80s. He contracted HIV from the hemophilia medicine. Fauci, Bayer, those companies all knew that it was contaminated, didn't tell the parents, kept it a secret for at least 2.5 years.
Dumped it on America, dumped it on Canada.
Yeah, yep. And when he came down with HIV, it was during the peak of the AIDS crisis. There was a lot of paranoia around HIV and AIDS.
Yeah.
People didn't...
They were pariahs.
The general public didn't understand that it's actually incredibly difficult to get. I mean, you have to share a needle or you have to have...
Well, for white people.
Yeah. So he got kicked out of his high school because the other parents were bitching so much about having an AIDS kid in the class with their kids. They didn't want their kids to get AIDS. And he had to fight legally to go back to school. All he wanted to do was go back to school. He's got his hemophilia, bleeds all the time. He's got HIV. And he finally got to go back to school, graduate, and he died like a couple of months after he graduated high school. Elton John played the piano at his wedding. Michael Jackson, he was a major celebrity in like the AIDS.
Yeah, the AIDS community.
Because he wasn't gay and he wasn't a drug abuser.
Yeah.
So the AIDS community was like, here's an example of someone that like, you can't say that, it's their fault.
They did an AIDS benefit concert and probably stole 98% of the money.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, Fauci killed that kid. Fauci killed that fucking kid. And I'll tell you what, I had an incredible hematologist when I was a kid. I had to go to a hematologist every 6 months to get a hemophilia checkup. They would draw my blood and test to see if I had inhibitors. So some hemophiliacs develop inhibitors, which basically they block the efficacy of the medicine. It doesn't happen anymore because the medicine's better. So they would test me every 6 months. And Dr. Bohassan had been a hematologist for decades. And I went to his retirement party when I was in high school. And it was me and it was my brother Chad. And it was all these parents, my parents' age. But there were no other hemophiliacs. And I'm like, where the fuck are the hemophiliacs?
Your people.
And I realized that they all died of AIDS.
Holy shit. I was making a joke. I didn't know you were going to fucking say that.
All these parents came to Dr. Bohassan's retirement party because he loved those kids and those kids loved him and they were all dead. It was almost more like a memorial than it was like a retirement party. It was at the hospital, I remember. So, yeah, Fauci, he's bad. And look, he'll say that he didn't know about it or he had nothing to do with it. I did the research, and I looked up which conferences it was publicly discussed that there was HIV and hepatitis contamination in blood transfusions and blood products, particularly factor VIII for hemophilia. And Fauci did attend at least one, if not several, of those specific conferences.
So he was aware while he was the head of the NIH?
Watching, while he was in NIH, and I don't know if he was in what role he had, but he was there attending those panels of scientists discussing the problem before it was disclosed to the public. And he didn't do shit.
Well, he didn't not only not do shit.
He pushed AZT, which was fucking terrible.
And he pushed the sale. He would have to, bro, he's the head medical official at the NIH.
Yeah, but in the 80s he had a different role.
Okay, he had a different role?
Yeah, but he was protested against big time for the AZT stuff.
Yeah, that was one of the most toxic drugs developed in modern American pharmaceutical history.
Yeah. Well, they just didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Well, his last name means sickle, and I'm guessing in reference to that's like a sickle. I'm pretty sure it's on his family crest.
I'll get to in some of the latest slides how this disease, which we surmised early on,
he was the AIDS expert,
started off in the male homosexual population in this country. Not that there was anything intrinsically different or wrong or what have you about homosexuality. It was very simple. It's straightforward epidemiology. You take an infectious agent and you introduce it into a population in which the spread among those individuals, if it's sexual contact spread, it's a perfect setup to spread. In any event, what we had was a concentration of cases, as you'll see here, in the New York metropolitan area, New York City and New Jersey, and in Los Angeles. Take an infectious agent and you introduce it into a population. You take an infectious agent and you introduce it into a population. You take an infectious agent and you introduce it into a population.
Yeah, the vector was homosexuals in the late 70s.
Beagle experiments?
Yeah. The sand fleas on the beagles. Which
you see those poor fucking dogs?
Yeah, it was illegal because animals have rights, too.
Fauci was behind that, too. That was an NIH experiment, right?
Of course he was, dude. So that's an important development. We got to get this guy. If we don't get this guy, that's a key barometer, key indicator of where we are in the American empire.
We promised you good news, and we're delivering it. We told you some months ago about the 4,000 beagles that were slated to be tortured for no real reason at a research facility in Virginia. Tony Fauci had purchased dogs from that facility. Well, a group called the White Coat Waste Project first uncovered the abuse of the beagles and found purchase records that show the abuse of several dogs to be, quote, used in septic shock experiments at NIH. The dogs were denied food and eaten alive by bugs, et cetera, et cetera. You're not going to go into details because it's too depressing. Now, a major breeding facility for those research facilities has been shut down, and the first batch of beagles has been set free. Daphne Nakminovich is the Senior Vice President at PETA and joins us tonight with an update on this. Daphne, thank you so much for coming on. So these beagles are not...
That's the story.
Yeah.
He's literally fucking Cruella de Vil. He's Mengele. He's every fucking supervillain, dude.
I mean, his last name means sickle, bro. As in the Grim Reaper. So
what does your last name mean?
I have no clue. I never did a little... I'll go look that up later.
I'm looking it up right now. What does the Korean...
My real last name's Park.
P-A-R-K?
Yeah, my dad changed it when I first moved here.
Why?
I don't know.
Park Hang-soo.
I asked him, but the three prominent last names in Korea are Lee, Bak, and Park.
Did your dad ever make you laugh so hard that you cried?
No. My dad made me cry so hard that I laughed.
Dude, that's poetic.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Thank
Bak.
you.
That's one of your moments of brilliance.
Yeah. I have a bunch of moments of brilliance. Just a lot of
I didn't
times
say
no
you had
one's
few.
around.
I said that was one of them.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're Ringo, bro. You're George Harrison, bro. You just fucking crank them out.
Since we're on Tucker, can we play clip 115?
Yeah, I'll play it for you.
Because this is like Star Trek, a new generation.
Next generation.
Carlson, last week, they posted this viral video, or viral photos, also some videos, of Carlson with Congressman Massey, former Congressman MTG, Joe Kent, and the word was they were
gang banging,
preparing a America First third-party move. And
dude, this is
indeed, according
exactly
to Joe
what
Kent,
Tim Pool
that
was
is
talking
exactly
about.
what
Yeah, well,
is about to be announced.
that's why I put this
And
in there,
Tucker
bro.
put out a 10-point manifesto on what the party will stand for. So that is a done deal. We'll be taking a first look at that today and different ramifications of it as well.
All right, so they're the same name. Korean Park is Romanized as, or Korean Bak is Romanized as Park, Bak, or Pak, depending on which system you use. Park is the traditional Anglicization. Approximates the sound in non-rhotic English, where Park is roughly Pak, while Bak is what South Korea's official revised romanization produces, and Pak is McCune Reischauer, still standard in North Korea and among Koreans in Central Asia. Same surname, same clans, just different spellings on the password. As for the meaning, the Hanja is, and that's a Korean character, a character that in Chinese means plain, simple, unadorned wood. And in Korean, is also read as the name of a tree, a species related to magnolia. But most scholars treat that character as a phonetic borrowing rather than the actual source of the name. The likelier origin is native Korean. The founding legend of Silla holds that Bak Haikos emerged from an egg-shaped like gourd, is the ordinary Korean word for gourd. Bak is the ordinary Korean for gourd, and took his surname from it. A competing theory links it to the root balk, meaning bright, which fits his name, bright ruler.
We were on Timcast that Tim Pool gave us. So, do you want to explain this? I think you could explain this better.
Okay, so Bak and I went on Timcast, and when we were on Timcast, Tim Pool said that he had inside information. He said this on air. It's not a secret.
Yeah, it's on the episode.
He had inside information that there is an intentional strategy from Trump and his ilk to run third-party candidates or independent candidates to draw votes away from Democrats to ensure Republican victory in 2028. Is that correct?
That's what he said, yeah.
That's what he said.
And then he said he didn't say that, but that is actually what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we said it wouldn't work because it's just going to draw away from dejected Republicans instead. But I do find it very strange, and I'm not in favor of a third party. I don't want us to become a parliamentary system where there's a third party, a fourth party, a fifth party, a green party, and then you have to build a coalition government, and then you can rule by coalition in the slimmest majority, 51%, to get everything you want. You can see that the parliamentary system doesn't work in Canada, it doesn't work in the UK, it doesn't work in European governments. So I'm not in favor. I'm actually in favor of a uniparty that's strictly following the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, all the amendments, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not what you can do, it's what you can't do. You can't limit someone's freedom of speech. You can't take away their firearms. And everything else that's not listed in there is fair game. So it's always just a core set of rules for things that you can't do.
The reason the government hates the Constitution is because it tells the government what it can't do. It doesn't say anything about what people can do.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. And states' rights, too, on top of that. States, anything not explicitly listed is up to the states. I think so. And George Washington didn't want a two-party system. And you know how I feel about our boy George. He had slave teeth, apparently. I didn't know that. He didn't have wooden teeth, guys. But So I'm not so sure about a third party, but I do find it very fascinating, unique, and interesting that an America First party has now coalesced and formed. We've all seen that picture with MTG and Joe Kent and Tucker, and I'm interested to see what comes of it because it kind of lines up with what Tim said to us on his show.
Yeah, but those...
I'm not saying it'll be successful, but I do find it interesting.
The problem is Tim's interpretation.
Yeah.
Because if you run independents like Tucker or Tulsi or Joe Kent or Thomas Massey or what have you, it's just like what happened with Ross Perot in the 90s. It's just going to pull votes away from the Republican, not the Democrat.
Well, that's what I do think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. It's just, it doesn't make sense. Now, if you intentionally ran like, Mamdani, who probably wouldn't win a general election because he's too radical, right? That might be a good strategy, but you don't want to run it. The Democrats think Tulsi's a Trump, MAGA.
Yeah.
The Democrats think RFK Jr. is MAGA. They're in the admin. They think Joe Kent's MAGA. Like, there's no fucking way. It's not going to, no.
I agree, bro. And let's play clip 116 because this clip told me everything I need to know.
Bitter and as divisive and as cynical as the campaign against us might have been, I want us to realize that there is so much more that unites us now. Because the campaign that Mike Rogers and Donald Trump and their GOP MAGA allies are launching is already more bitter. All you got to do is look at the ads you're already watching on TV, started today. You know, they think that you want to use my whole name against me. Mike, listen, man, if you can't say the name, it's Abdurrahman, keep the name out your damn mouth.
And then Mamdani got booed off of stage in New York. We don't even have to play that. But the main point, you didn't hear the coaching from Barack Obama?
What? Listen.
Instantly, every one of them was wounded. Ryan was hit by shrapnel in the arm and both legs and was bleeding badly. Already 3 American soldiers in that valley had fallen, and then a 4th. As the insurgents moved in, Ryan picked up a grenade, pulled the pin.
Watch.
Ryan and his team were being pounded.
He's trying not to laugh.
Almost instantly, every one of them was wounded.
You see that?
Ryan was hit by shrapnel.
Right here.
Ryan and his team were being pounded. Almost instantly, every one of them was wounded.
You hear the speech inflection.
Yeah, the cadence. But he could have just studied Obama speeches.
Bro, they're both. Abdul El-Sayed just beat Haley Stevens, the AIPAC candidate. You see the DSA, the Democratic Socialist Alliance, with the Islamists and Antifa type figures, right? They just beat the Jewish lobby in the Democratic Party. You know Obama's a fucking closet Muslim, dude. And you're telling me Mamdani and Abdul El-Sayed
Lisa Al-Gaib
aren't getting direct. Those aren't direct Obama surrogates. Now, you could be right. He could just be imitating his speech pattern. But Obama himself, it came out, was trained by an actor to act more presidential. You remember that, right? I just find it so hard to believe that those are not Obama-aligned surrogates and they're not directly taking orders from Obama and being instructed by Obama and coached by Obama. No fucking way. When I heard him, the way he talked at his victory speech, well then, keep my damn name out your mouth. It's me, Barack Obama. And listen, Trump, he's already talking shit. It's me, Barack. It's me, Abdul.
Don't do your impersonation again, dude.
Yeah, it's spot on because I'm an Obama speech expert, dude. That 100% those are Obama surrogates, dude. That is the Obama wing of the Democratic Party. All the fingerprints are there.
The whole Biden administration was run by Obama. Do you remember that footage of Obama in the room and everyone's talking to him and everybody's ignoring Joe and Joe looks lost? It was that was probably one of the only times I genuinely felt very sad for
Joe Biden.
Yeah,
I got my butt wiped.
Yeah, dude.
Bro, remember when Trump first got in and Obama bought that residence like 2 miles down the road from the White House? Obama had 3 terms, bro. He had his 2 first official terms. Then he was the deep state president using Biden as a cutout. And now it's happening again because keep an eye on that motherfucker, Abdul El-Sayed and Mamdani, dude. I think one of them two are probably gearing up for a presidential run. I don't know what the term limits are because Abdul El-Sayed just got in. So I don't know if that overlaps and if you can drop out of Michigan state politics to run for president. But Obama did it as a 2-term senator. Remember, he was a community organizer. Then he was a senator for 2 terms in Illinois. And then he ran right for the presidency, and he's been groomed for it his whole life. His mother
getting pushed by the establishment left. You would think that they would kind of avoid that because it's just not possible to win a general election with that type.
Mondami's the fucking mayor of New York, dude.
I know,
these
but
aren't even qualified positions. This
New York's so
Abdul
left.
El-Sayed's not even. Don't know if it's going to end up being nothing or fluff, but I don't think he would schedule this press conference and release a statement like that if there was nothing behind it.
Yeah.
You know? Thank you, Mr. C, USA Patriot, for the $5 super chat. The progressives are the useful idiots for the Islamic Caliphate. Totally agree. And we will be switching over to members only in about 3 minutes. The show will carry on for another hour. We'll be taking speakers. So if you want to join us on the members only section, you can view it on chasegeiser.com. Membership is free or paid there. And if you are a member to the YouTube channel, you can also watch the rest of the show here, or you can just join us in space if you want to kick it and raise your hand and speak. We'll be calling up speakers. Anything else you want to say before we switch over, Chase?
That's it, man. I appreciate everybody's support. This has been an incredible ride, and we're getting there. We get a lot of views on our short clips on various platforms, and we're just trying to figure out how to crack the YouTube code. So anything you can do to support us on YouTube, that's how we reach the normies. That's how we actually change hearts and minds. Really appreciate it. We're going to figure it out, though. We're going to figure out how to crack the code and make our content pop on YouTube.
Yeah, I thought we had a really information-dense episode. We covered a lot of shit. Just do a recap.
Yeah, the show's good.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to a show than the show.
Of course. You made it when you have a stalker.
You have a stalker?
No, not yet, so we haven't made it. But I'm watching out for you, motherfucker. I'm looking around the bush. I'm looking around that weird willow tree in Jim's yard. And if you're there, I want to thank you for stalking me. Let's plug real quick. Real Chase Geiser at IG, X, and Chase Geiser Network at YouTube. And you can go to chasegeiser.com and sign up for free or as a founding member. And you can catch the pre-show, which we do from 7 to 8. And then you can catch this last hour where we take speaker segments. So we are switching over. What's the countdown?
It'll be like 4 minutes. It'll happen automatically.
Well, what the fuck
I triggered it. I just set it for 5 minutes.
All right.
When you mentioned it.
I mean, do we have time for one more clip? This one's so funny.
Yeah, of course.
All right, let's play clip 120 because Trump's charging access to his truth tweets now, and you can pay up to $100,000.
For years, the market rewarded those who knew things first. They called it illegal. Not anymore. Introducing Truth API. Tariffs at 2 a.m., you're already short. A pardon for a major shareholder, you bought at the open. Restarting the Iran war, you'll know first. Truth API. It's not insider trading when the insider sells you the feed. Just $100,000 a month, which, let's be honest, you'll make back by Tuesday. Truth API. It's fucked up, but real. Not available to poor people.
We basically have 2 countries.
Did you see this one?
That have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
By the way, speaking of that guy being coached by Barack Obama, there is a new kid coming up in Nepal that was coached directly by Adolf Hitler. Did you know that?
Yeah. Are you going to play? Do you have the clip ready? I love this kid.
Today I stand here with the dream of building a new Nepal, with a fire of hope and passion burning within me. But my heart is heavy because this dream seems to be slipping away. Rise and shines, futures of this upcoming imperial empire. I, Oshka Raut, the head boy of this everlasting imperial institute, Holy Bell English Secondary School, welcomes you with open arms to our 24th annual program. I put myself before you this moment to shed light within your consciousness by piercing the dark nimbus that circles above you. I am present here today to immortalize a monumental change in the course of history.
Yeah, so that's a speech they had him give after his balls dropped.
I mean, I didn't know Hitler reincarnated as
Hitler,
a
Nepal.
Nepalese kid.
Yeah,
that's called the
Nepalazi.
That's called the Nepalazi. Oh, man. The painter lives, chat just said. I love when we switch over to the members only. You're going to see a little Chase unhinged. You might even catch a little Harriola if he flashes the camera.
I'm not flashing the camera.
All right. We can save it for another time.
What's up, Maisie?
Hi, guys.
I'm cracking up.
What's so funny?
That was so funny. A Nepalazzi.
Yeah, Nepalazzi.
That shit was funny as hell. I was about to say it looks like it's your cousin, Bak.
He looks pretty Indian to
Similar-
me.
similar hair.
No, he wasn't ugly. So he's handsome. So it's not like it's a compliment.
Yeah.
But you do have a stalker. You remember the guy? Listen, like Chase, I've never seen anybody boost and amplify their own like haters, like Bak does.
He gets obsessed.
He quote posts them and will say, "This is your best one yet." So funny. Anyway,
He's talking about she's talking about the parody account that makes me
you look fat.
more retarded and fatter every single AI.
The guy's your
iteration.
fan, though, right? Or
No,
is he-
of course. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, man. It's Maze's birthday recently.
Happy birthday, Maze.
well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Did you get your dryer fixed?
Yes. Well,